In the photographs, Yuri Gagarin smiles, the first man in space, a triumph for all of mankind. In KGB files and military hospital records, the story reads very differently. Cosmonauts erased from photos. Launch failures classified for decades. Men who knew they would die, ordered to fly anyway. The Soviet space program wasn't just a race to the stars. It was a machine that swallowed lives and buried the evidence. I'm going to share 20 facts pulled from declassified archives, defector testimonies, and reports the state tried to destroy. Subscribe and check back weekly for more hidden history. Number 1. Before Gagarin, there were others. In the late 1950s, Italian radio operators in Turin picked up transmissions from space that didn't match any official Soviet mission. A woman's voice, labored breathing, then silence. The Giudica Cordiglia brothers recorded what they believed were cosmonauts dying in orbit, missions the Kremlin never acknowledged. Decades later, Russian officials denied it. The tapes still exist. Number 2. Valentin Bondarenko was 24 years old in 1961. During a training exercise in a pressure chamber at the cosmonaut facility, he dropped an alcohol-soaked cotton ball onto a hot plate. The oxygen-rich air turned the chamber into an inferno. He burned for hours before doctors could reach him. He died the next day. For the next 25 years, his face was airbrushed out of every official photo. His name vanished from the record. Only in 1986 did the Soviet state admit he ever existed. Number 3. The Nedelin disaster happened on October 24, 1960, at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. A prototype rocket was being prepared for launch when the second stage ignited prematurely. The fireball killed at least 78 people on the launch pad, including Marshal Mitrofan Nedelin, commander of the Soviet rocket forces. Some estimates put the death toll over 100. The state classified the entire incident. Families were told their relatives died in a plane crash. The truth stayed buried for 3 decades. Number 4. Silence had a price. Families of dead cosmonauts and engineers received pensions, apartments, and sometimes promotions for surviving relatives. The cost was a signature on a document promising never to speak about what happened. Some widows learned the real cause of death only after the Soviet Union collapsed. Others went to their graves without knowing. The state bought silence the same way it bought everything else. Number 5. Before humans went up, animals went first. Laika the dog launched aboard Sputnik 2 in November 1957. The official story for decades was that she survived for days and was peacefully euthanized. Declassified records show the truth. There was no plan to bring her back. She died within hours from overheating and panic. The capsule was never designed for return. She was sent up to die, and the state called it progress. Number 6. Laika wasn't alone. Dozens of dogs, monkeys, and rabbits were launched on suborbital and orbital flights through the 1950s and 1960s. Many died from system failures, heat exposure, or parachute malfunctions. Their bodies were recovered when possible and studied. When not, they burned up on re-entry or drifted into orbit. Scientists filed reports. The public heard only about the survivors. Number 7. Radiation was a known risk from the beginning. Cosmonauts on early flights were exposed to cosmic rays with little shielding. Some developed health problems years later. Cataracts, immune disorders. The connection was documented internally, but never made public. Medical files were classified. When cosmonauts asked questions, they were told the data was still being analyzed. Number 8. Vladimir Komarov knew he was going to die. In April 1967, he launched aboard Soyuz 1 despite more than 200 known engineering problems. The spacecraft had failed tests. Engineers begged for a delay. Komarov reportedly told friends he understood the risks but couldn't refuse because his backup was Yuri Gagarin, and he wouldn't let Gagarin die. The mission failed. The parachute didn't deploy. Komarov hit the ground at full speed. His last recorded words were curses at the people who sent him up. Number 9. Some cosmonauts wrote letters before dangerous missions. Not to family, to the Central Committee. They documented equipment failures, safety concerns, and pressure from officials to meet political deadlines. A few of these letters surfaced after 1991. They show men who understood they were being used and said so in writing. The letters changed nothing. Number 10. The training was brutal by design. Centrifuges pushed cosmonauts to the edge of blackout. Isolation chambers tested psychological limits. Some candidates washed out, others broke down. A few deaths in training were recorded as accidents. The official line was that space demanded sacrifice. What the files show is something simpler. The program needed results, and the men inside it were tools. They weren't heroes. They were ordered to become martyrs. Number 11. In March 1965, Alexei Leonov stepped outside Voskhod 2 and became the first human to walk in space. What the broadcasts didn't show was the emergency. His suit ballooned in the vacuum. He couldn't fit back through the airlock. He had to bleed oxygen from his suit to squeeze inside, risking decompression sickness. On re-entry, the capsule's guidance system failed. Leonov and his crewmate landed in a frozen forest in the Urals and spent a night surrounded by wolves before rescue arrived. The state released only the triumphant footage. Number 12. Soyuz 11 launched in June 1971 with 3 cosmonauts aboard. The mission went well. The crew spent weeks on the Salyut 1 space station. On re-entry, a pressure valve failed. The cabin depressurized in seconds. Georgy Dobrovolsky, Vladislav Volkov, and Viktor Patsayev were found dead in their seats when the capsule landed. The official cause released to the public was cardiac arrest. The engineering failure stayed classified for years. Number 13. Cosmonauts who talked faced consequences. After difficult missions, some gave interviews that strayed from the approved script. They were quietly reassigned, flights canceled, promotions frozen. A few were placed under surveillance. One cosmonaut who criticized safety protocols found himself grounded permanently. The message was clear. The party controlled not just the missions, but what could be said about them afterward. Number 14. Mission logs were edited before archiving. Flight data that showed equipment failures or crew errors was revised. Some recordings were spliced, others disappeared entirely. Engineers who worked on post-flight analysis later admitted they were told what conclusions to reach before they examined the evidence. The archive was not a record, it was a script. Number 15. The KGB maintained officers at every launch site and training facility. Their job was not just security, it was control. They monitored conversations, reviewed letters, and reported on morale. Cosmonauts knew they were watched. Some accepted it, others learned to say nothing of substance to anyone, even family. The state's eyes were always open. Number 16. When Glasnost arrived in the late 1980s, files began to surface. Families learned what really happened to husbands and fathers. Journalists published names that had been erased for decades. Bondarenko's story came out. The Nedelin disaster was finally acknowledged. For a few years, the archives opened. Then they started closing again. Number 17. Western intelligence agencies knew more than they admitted during the Cold War. The CIA tracked Soviet launch failures through satellite imagery and signals intercepts. They knew about the deaths and the cover-ups, but revealing that knowledge would have exposed sources and methods. So they stayed quiet while the Soviets rewrote history in real time. The silence served both sides. Number 18. In the 1990s, monuments finally went up. Bondarenko received a memorial. The Soyuz 11 crew were honored properly. Families got death certificates with accurate causes. But the ceremonies came decades late, and some relatives refused to attend. For them, the apology meant nothing without accountability. The state acknowledged its dead, but never its decisions. Number 19. Today, portions of the Soviet space archive remain classified. Researchers who request access are often denied. Some files were transferred, reorganized, or simply lost in the chaos after 1991. Others are still marked secret under Russian law. What survives in the public record is incomplete. What doesn't survive may be gone forever. Number 20. The question that remains is simple. If the state erased this much, what else is still buried? The men and women who built the program are mostly gone now. The engineers, the doctors, the handlers. The cosmonauts who survived are elderly. Every year, more memory disappears. And the files that could fill the gaps sit locked in vaults, guarded by a government that inherited the habit of secrecy along with the rockets. The record was altered. It may never be fully restored.